So everybody loved the film. And then the film released, and it was my very first experience with film reviews. It just started at 12 in the night, and tuck, 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 tuck. It just kept shattering me because everybody tore me apart, like literally tore me apart. And then when this happened, when the reviews came out, I couldn't believe that this is what people have written about my work, my film. There were so-called critics who also mocked my emotion towards my mother, who I had dedicated the film to. So they not only got personal, but they tried to completely rubbish me.
What one statement or one line message you want to give to our women?
Support each other, be kind to each other, celebrate each other instead of judging each other.
Wow.
And I think the day that happens, the world will be a much calmer, happier place.
How film industry, treat outsiders and newcomers?
What happens is that for newcomers, for outsiders, to get to that point of getting to know people, boom, 10 years, 15 years. And that is that period when you're only trying to get your toe into the door, not even your foot.
Hello everyone. In a male-dominated world, what if filmmaker is a woman? For a female, is it easy to survive and achieve her dream in film industry? When we talk about film and movie, I get three words: entertainment, entertainment, and entertainment. When we watch movie or film, we get entertainment. Many times, we get rejuvenated. For watching a movie or for 2 to 3 hours movie, a filmmaker's journey starts with an idea, and that idea turns into stories. And when idea and stories are executed, a 2 to 3 hour film is made. To entertain us for 2 to 3 hours, filmmakers spends minimum 3 to 6 months and many times years and years in the entire process. How has been journey of filmmakers? There are myths associated with filmmaking process and filmmakers. It is always interesting to know about filmmaking process and filmmaker. And we are fortunate that today we have one such eminent filmmaker. She is Anushree Mehta. Anushree Mehta is a producer, director, and writer. She is the first Gujarati girl to have become a mainstream Hindi cinema director. She is a founder of Jadugar Films. Anushree has produced and directed many movies. She is a self-taught producer and the filmmaker. In her journey of 10 years, she has had 5 successful releases as a producer. Her first movie as a director is Mrs. Undercover, featuring Radhika Apte. She was awarded by IMDb for making one of the smashing hit of 2023, that is Mrs. Undercover. The Gujarat government awarded her Gauravanta Gujarati Award for becoming the first Gujarati girl in the mainstream Hindi cinema direction. Her work as a director are Mrs. Undercover, Ankahi. Her work as a producer, Mrs. Undercover, Ankahi, Jomer Raja Dilobor, Pati Patni Aur Panga, and Soul Sathi. Her project as a writer are very well-known series on the television: Saudhan India, Emotional Atyachar, Arjun, Encounter, FIR, Surya the Super Cop, Shapath, and many more. Her movies and series are available on almost all streaming partners: ZEE5, Jio Cinema, Netflix, Amazon MX Player, Eros Now. Let's go and sneak peek into the filmmaker's journey. So Anushree, welcome to Between the Lines.
Thank you.
When we talk about film or filmmaking, so when we watch film, the first outcome of filmmaking for us is entertainment.
Yeah,
Many times film gives us a lot of information,
yeah.
knowledge also, and we come to know about certain real life perspective out of certain real stories. But what we have observed in last few years, we are also getting some sort of human angle wisdom out of the movie, and that is what the objective of Between the Lines. And I'm really happy that you, being a filmmaker, is here today. So I'm sure the conversation is going to be full of entertainment, stories, and wisdom.
I hope so.
Anushree, when we talk about filmmaking and a woman in the filmmaking, and you being a first Gujarati girl to have become a mainstream Hindi cinema director, so I'm really keen to know that what made you fall in love with the filmmaking? Was there any sort of dream when you were your upbringing was going on? So how did you come into this entire process?
Actually, it was not something that happened overnight. It was a discovery of its own kind, because since childhood I had some 100 dreams. That there was a phase when I wanted to become a doctor for a very long time. Then for the longest time I wanted to become an Air Force pilot, because my grandfather was the best commander of Indian Airlines of
okay.
his time. He was also the check pilot of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi.
Oh.
So Captain KV Mehta was like a huge thing. He still is, people who know him, they still cannot stop talking about how amazing he was in every capacity. So obviously you take inspiration from your own people, though I never got to meet him. He passed away very young. But though he's still around in conversation till date, right? So he became a point of inspiration, and I was always a nationalist, completely in love with my country, and I always wanted to, do something for the country. And then I wanted to become an Air Force pilot for a very, very long time. But somehow, life took its own turn, and that did not work out. And I was doing something completely different. But then, how destiny works. That's how it is. That I just was pushed or nudged into that direction. And then I feel that my Isht is Mahadev, so I will refer to him. That Mahadev just, would send somebody to just tell you that, this isn't your path. Maybe this is. And then that inspiration would but I was always an ardent cinema fan, absolute fan of cinema, because in my childhood, those VHSs were available, and we used to stay in Parla West in Mumbai. So my father's friend had this shop, where those VHSs were available. So I would go and get them on rent. And Amar Akbar Anthony is like literally my favorite movie of all kind.
Yes.
Also my greatest inspiration. I have seen that film at least 10 million times. Ram Lakhan and oh my God, Mr. India. I can just keep on naming all these films. Sound of Music, and of course those films are to a part of your bringing up. The original Jungle Book and Mary Poppins and all of that, of course, happens. But Hindi cinema, like hardcore masala Hindi cinema, I was always a fan. And I would always ask my parents, how did they do this? How did they do that? Of course, they had no clue. So how would they tell me also? But somehow I was never very attracted or enamored by actors. But I was always very curious to know कि ये किया कैसे?
Process.
How did they actually come about doing that? And then eventually when it culminated to me becoming a writer first in the industry, where I have written all sorts of crime shows on Indian television, right from CID to Southern India to whatnot I have written. And I was very young at the time, maybe 21, if not younger. So transitioning from becoming a writer, and then because one had no experience of being behind the scenes like this, how it is written, it's not like you write an essay, or I had been to no film school or anything, or I did not even assist anybody. So it was all self-taught, and then you discover that all those movies that you watched all your childhood and been so curious about, and all that has played in the subconscious. And obviously I read some books. My business partner and I used to write together at the time, so we used to explore that and try and figure out what is the correct way to write the most effective screenplay. We may write the story, but there have to be beats to the story. It has to move from highlight to highlight. So all of those things we learned on our own. then eventually I knew, because being a Gujarati, business had to happen always. That was always in my mind, that business to karwanu જ. So but what business, like you can't just
Exactly.
not know. But I didn't know for the longest time. But then being in the industry, I realized that the business of entertainment is not luxury. It's a need.
Need, yeah.
It is something that is so personal to all of us. You know, everybody needs entertainment, just like how we need food and water and travel and all of that. And that's why I saw great opportunity. And then obviously, I mean, it was not like I had some funding backup or any sort of a thing like that, right? So I obviously had to attach myself with investors in order to become a first generation entrepreneur in the entertainment industry, as a producer, to be able to actually make the films that I wanted to make. And then that transitioning happened very early in my life. I was 26 when I turned producer. And actually, there were investors who trusted me at the time, despite me not having assisted
Background,
anybody or having any sort of connection or background. Also, another thing is that when you don't come from a film family or an influential family or a rich family, so to speak, the journey is very different. You know, it's a very, very different journey. And so it had its own learning. Everybody learns every day, and filmmaking is something that teaches you something new every day, no matter how many movies you
Yes.
make. So that's another thing. And then to transition from that, not transition, but graduate and say that I also want to become a director, also happened. So my love story with filmmaking is a very ongoing process. You know, it started probably as the pursuit of happiness, but I finally found happiness in the pursuit.
Wow, very
So-
very well said.
Yeah, so it was always about the journey, never about the destination. What is the destination? Doesn't exist. It is all alive and all magical in the journey of it. And that's why one is doing what one is doing.
I'm really happy that you have seconded my two thoughts. It's a mantra of my life. Process is more important than result,
Yeah.
and journey is more important than destination. That's what I think. What I resonate with your story. So, looking at your story, and if you look at your younger self,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think you did not have a dream of becoming an actress, some sort of something like I want to be like actress like her, or I want to be a filmmaker. But I think what I feel that the curiosity
Yeah.
behind the entire story, this is what something which has kicked up, in your life to become a filmmaker. Now, when we see from afar and as an audience,
Yeah.
though we see entertainment, but for us and what we heard or what we observed, we feel that filmmaking or the film industry is one of the toughest place to be there. And it is not easy, as you say, that especially you being a producer, producer has all sort of jobs to done.
Yeah.
So we feel that filmmaking process and the film industry is a very tough job. So, was there any toughest phase in your life during this transition or during whatever you have done in the filmmaking process?
Actually, every day is the toughest day in the life of a filmmaker. Be it the biggest filmmaker you speak about, or be it somebody who is in that phase where they are growing, somebody like me who's, you know, a growing company, a growing director, a growing filmmaker. Every day is a super tough journey, and it is something that you cannot really explain. But I'll speak about a very recent experience of mine, which actually had a great impact on my life, and it was not a pretty phase. And I learned a lot from it, and I've only understood that about myself, actually, that, you know, especially being a woman, that when you mess with a woman who's risen from the ashes, you will lose every single time. And that's what happened. You know, I thought that I've been reduced to ashes at the time. And I was extremely heartbroken. And I thought, I worked so hard. You know, why is this happening to me? All sorts of questions. But I always say Mahadev. And then he just turns things around at a time when you just absolutely don't expect. So I made Mrs. Undercover. And I've never really spoken about this, experience of mine. I made the film, and then it finally released on Z5, and everybody who had watched the film up until then had loved it. That because we do business to business screenings, and then there are some industry friends who come and watch. So everybody always loved the film, and it was not like makhan lagana and saying, ki, "Oh, you made a great film." You also know as a filmmaker, ki, what it is that you have done. So everybody loved the film, and then the film released, and it was my very first experience with film reviews. So it just started at 12 in the night. And tuck, 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 tuck. It just kept shattering me because everybody tore me apart. Like literally tore me apart. And what had happened was that the trailer of my film had gone viral on its own. It was probably one of the rare organically gone viral trailers of the industry. So everybody was anticipating, ki, we are looking forward to this film. And then when this happened, when the reviews came out, I couldn't believe that this is what people have written about my work, my film. There were so-called critics who also mocked my emotion towards my mother, who I had dedicated the film to. So they not only got personal, but they tried to completely rubbish me. And so this went on for like 2-3 days. And, you come as a very innocent person who thinks this is art. This is going to be, of course, everybody wants to make a super hit film like we were speaking off camera. But I did make a super hit film, and I knew it. My business partner knew it. Everybody knew it. But then these guys, these 15, 20 people had decided that they are going to talk trash about it. Now, there are 4-5 things that happened in this. I understood the politics of it first because Radhika and I were promoting the film and we were doing interviews and my phone was switched off at the time. So my business partner got a call from a journalist and she watched the film obviously to write reviews the next day. And she told him that, I couldn't get through to Anushree, but please tell her she's made a brilliant film and I absolutely loved it. And, be ready to wake up to some fantastic reviews tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning came. And the same publication, some other journalist wrote the review and she just kind of, whatever, it was a disaster. So then my business partner called that journalist and said, ki, yesterday you said this, you didn't even write the review, what just happened? So she said, I feel so bad. I had written a great review, but somebody has actually paid them for a bad review for the film.
My God.
So one thing I understood about hidden enemies is that you may have not done wrong to anybody, but that does not mean that people will not wrong you. It is the same kahawat that, just because you didn't eat the lion doesn't mean the lion will not eat you.
Wow.
So, and I didn't even know that there are these people around like this. And so then that continued. And then there was this one gentleman who is a journalist and he just rang me up. I was driving and Bluetooth pay, I was talking to him. So I had the director of the film and a couple of my assistants in the car. I'll never forget that incident. Because he told me, ki, so now you've got such bad reviews of the film. So what are you thinking? So I obviously, I had sobered up by then and my crying had come to a point where it was just... So I told him that, listen, it's my first film, okay? The fact of the matter is that I have not made this film for these 20 people. I've made the film for the audiences. That is my end consumer and the only consumer. So, and they are apparently reacting to it very beautifully, exactly opposite to how you guys have written. So he said, reviews can make or break your career. and this is breaking you for sure. He said it to my face. And I said, listen, I'm not going to stop making movies. It's very hard to break somebody like me. And it's a very nasty thing to say to somebody, जिसकी film अभी release हुई है 2 दिन पहले यार. Why would you want to break somebody? What fun is there in breaking somebody? I don't understand. But there are all sorts of nasty people because they know that you can do good. And you have done good. 5 days into the movie, I have drowned in my tears. Absolutely. And I felt sick because it was just so hard for me. And my film, Mrs. Undercover, is still my whole heart. Like, I can speak about it for hours. Because that's how much you put into the film, right? But so then that happened. 5th day, we got to know that it has become a smash hit and it has broken records of certain films that I will not name. And it just kind of kept breaking a lot of records. It changed the subscriber base of the channel. It kind of increased so many subscribers of the channel. People far and wide were watching the film. And my Instagram was spammed with fan mail.
Amazing.
I have never received so much love. But those breaking of my heart, that shattering of my heart is something that I will never forget. Because there was this one journalist, maybe I should call her that, or maybe a critique that she calls herself. She mocked me, saying that, she has made this film dedicated it to her mother, and she said very nasty things for the film. Whereas the audience absolutely loved it. It's a family film. The families far and wide, not even in India, like abroad, have sat together. They made plans to watch it again with their families. So imagine the contradictory impact it had on me in a very short span of time. And despite being in public life or having made something that is on a public platform where anybody is allowed to say anything thanks to freedom of speech. So I have to be open to that. And people call it criticism. But there is a very thin line, because a lot of these critiques or whatever, they survive on clickbait. And negative clickbait is something that they would get faster.
Yes.
Right? So they don't, according to me, they are completely dependent on people like me for a living. Because we make movies and content is why they think they have the... Otherwise, so everybody is a critique, yaar. You have an opinion, I have an opinion, my house help has an opinion. Everybody in the world has an opinion.
Yeah. For sure.
Right? So it doesn't mean everybody becomes a critique. But the feedback and the love that I got from the audience is what I received as something that came as my Mahadev telling me that, I know you have worked hard. Wait for the right time. Don't cry. But that period of me breaking down is something that I will never forget because there are very few people in this world who can break somebody like me. And it was my work. And it was something that, I had put my entire life, blood, flesh, everything into. It's very difficult being a girl behind the camera in the film industry. There are very few.
Very few.
Very, very few. You can probably count them on one hand. That few. And so it becomes 100-fold more difficult to reach to a point where you're being able to make your first film as a director. And once you make that, then to release it is another mammoth task. And after it releases, nothing is in your hand. You cannot predict, you cannot say कि कौन सी film कितना क्या करेगी, what it's going to give you. And it's entirely upon the audience. But within the industry, when, these kinds of elements try to pull you down unnecessarily. Everybody knows my film is really nice. It's a very good film. It's genuinely a very good film. Everybody should watch it. I'll tell you one more thing. There was this one really senior journalist, very, very senior journalist. She wrote a horrible review of my film. And then she called me. She said, Anushree, I have 2 daughters. I'm going to make them watch your film again and again through their growing up years.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's something that I feel that they must watch. It's probably the most inspiring films. I said, okay, then why the review? She said, grow up, wake up and smell the coffee. It's very different. So when the audience feels that, अरे इसका तो review ऐसा आया, use your own brain.
True.
Your cognitive abilities are different from the other. Do not let another person judge a film, a piece of art, food, anything. If you like it, does not mean another person will like it. Just because that person owns a publication, works for a publication, does not mean they know best. There are people who say कि ये film audience में नहीं चलेगी. Like they give out verdicts like they are God. Doesn't work like that. You know, there are so many films, and I can give you multiple examples, and I can go on and on, where these reviews have been really nasty, bad, whatever, and the films have gone on to doing incredible numbers of business. I'm glad that my film is one of them, because I was always a non-conformist, somebody who does not probably fit in. And that's why probably I have wings and I can fly and I can make movies. So that's the whole point, that, you know, you can break somebody like me maybe for a moment. I actually got reduced to ashes. I burnt, I cried, and I've never been hurt so much. Never in my life.
But I think you have used very perfect word, which is smell the coffee. And this is what, a couple of times I've got an opportunity to interact with the management student. And I always tell them that once your study is over, you will be evaluated by your subjective skill. But the moment you are into the professional world, it is not only your subjective skill, but it is your other skill which will take you through the journey.
Yeah.
And this is what one of the very critical aspects of human mentality, or the understanding that somebody has to smell the right coffee.
Yeah.
That's what you're. But when you were going through tough time, during a day you were active in your work, you have people surrounded. So maybe you could show this courage. But what I feel that toughest time is when you are in your sleeping time, you are in your bed, you are alone, and thought process starts. That is I feel the toughest time to manage, because that is the time you are alone. Do you remember maybe during this tough time, people were throwing rubbish things to you, and you were in your sleeping time? What was going on?
Actually, I'll break it down because you said a lot of things that are in fragments, very relatable to me. So, firstly, I've always been alone in my journey. Everybody is, but there are people who have a lot of support system in terms of people, in terms of finances, in terms of family, this, that. Of course, I have probably the most supportive family and the best in the world. But, कर्म तो खुद ही करने पड़ते हैं and भुगतने भी खुद ही पड़ते हैं, right? They can feel happy for you, they can feel sad for you, but they cannot feel it or take that journey or walk that path. Those are your shoes, you're going to walk them. So, I have always had a very lone wolf sort of a journey. And times have always been tough for me. There has not been a single phase in my life where I can say that life's been easy with me. I kind of breezed through this process. Nothing has been easy. And probably that's why I feel I have the strength that I do, because nothing was ever easy. And during this particular phase that I'm speaking about, probably the only person standing by me was my business partner. And I was absolutely pushed to the corner. And I felt like, because right before the release of the film, I was receiving flowers and everybody from the industry was calling me. People from the film, people who worked on the film also distanced themselves. But 5 दिन के बाद जब it was out that the film is a hit, the calls started coming in again.
Oh my God.
It is that calculative. It is that. And this is not capitalism. Capitalism is good, I feel. This is toxic capitalism. where your worth is your success in their eyes. Success is also like a piece of art, very subjective. But this is what happened. So the smell the coffee to me was that you cannot think that everybody is like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody feels that आगे वाला इंसान मेरे जैसा है because we all mirror
But it's
each
not like
other.
that.
But that's not the case. People always work according to their own insecurities and they project all of that onto people who are always better than them. I was bullied a lot in school, one of my schools, for a long period of time, and it was horrible. Like, it was the most horrible phase. Then we all grew up. Obviously, they all have children, they are all married. And slowly, all of them started reaching out to me and saying sorry. And I mean, I'm somebody who will be like, that, nahi, I don't want your apology. But I had asked that why. You know what that answer was? They said, because you were better than all of us. That was their problem. And that's why they bullied me, they made me cry, they hit me, all of that. So I think there are bullies everywhere, and such sort of behavior comes from places of insecurity and jealousy. And there is no competition. Nobody is running a race. There is space, time for everybody to make their mark, to make their films, to make good films, to make successful films. There's space for everyone. But some sort of an imaginary race makes people do that. So as a person who's very emotional, who's very spiritual, very in touch with other people's feelings also, I'm a complete empath. I spent days and nights crying alone, be it while sleeping or waking up or whatever. But then again, it just so happened that my work spoke for itself. And then there were only tears of happiness afterwards. Still are.
See, there are people in the world that they want to grow, but they don't want other to grow.
Yeah.
So it happens. I think I'm really happy to, sitting along with, being a Gujarati, I'm sitting along with a first Gujarati girl who is into the mainstream Hindi cinema direction, and very courageous girl.
Thank you.
But during this toughest phase, many times it happens when we go through tough time comes when we think that enough is enough, I want to give up now.
Yeah.
Bahut ho gaya. Did you had such time?
No.
Did you think about giving up, leaving
Never.
everything?
I think I don't know what adjective to use for this, but I'm very stubborn. I'm very stubborn, and it usually goes against me. Since childhood, I've been like this, but I'm an Aryan. So I'm very stubborn. And once I set my mind to something that, because I know my capabilities, I know what I'm capable of, I know what I can achieve, I know that I will like taking that journey. Because one thing was always clear, that I have to enjoy the journey. Destination, outcome is not in my hand. It never was, it never will be. If I have not understood that, then my bhakti, my spirituality, all of that makes no meaning, because that is what we are taught. Ki karm karo.
Wow.
Right? So my karm should be interesting to me, should be righteous to me, should, work in my favor in terms of everything that I want and everything that should be good. Good in the larger scheme of things. The end of it is never ever predictable, right? So that thought has never struck me. The more tough it gets, the more stubborn I get. Ki, you cannot make me think that I will quit. I am not a quitter. I will cry, I will break, I will scream, shout, get angry, do everything, but I will not turn around and leave. I'm a fighter.
So I think being a stubborn at times is really good, because otherwise you may end up, leaving everything, giving up everything.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong in being stubborn, especially when you talk about your professional journey or the dream.
Yeah.
You have already been talking about you being a woman in the film industry, but since last many years we have been watching, we have been reading about how tough being a female in film industry is,
Yeah.
and what they go through. We want to know that how much it is difficult for you The first Gujarati girl and being a woman in the film industry. How difficult it is for you?
So, well, let's break this down also in two parts. First, in general, being a woman and how it kind of. I read somewhere and it was something really amazing that I read. It said that there are only two kinds of women. One is a victim, the other is a witch. And it's not hard to guess which one I am. And my company's name is Jadugar Films, so it's all about magic. But what happens is that once you step out of your home, your comfort zone, where, at least my parents have been people who've always told me that you do whatever you want in life. They've always given me wings. They have never, ever in my entire life told me that this is not your house, you have to get married and go to your house and you have to learn this and you have to do this seva and that seva. They've not taught me any of that. They have taught me to be a human being, somebody who can dream, who can achieve, somebody who has wings, somebody who has the world open to her. They raised me like that. Women are not treated like human beings. They are only treated as women who are attached with certain jobs. And what happens and what has happened, and I think most women will relate to this, is that when you start working, it's a very co-ed kind of a situation, right? Or probably there are more men always, everywhere, than working women. So in this parade or fight against patriarchy, what one has sadly discovered is that the fight first is with the patriarchy that women have to give to you rather than the men. Because after a certain point, men with their patriarchy and chauvinism and ego and all of that, once they see that she's stubborn, she knows her job, she's here to stay, we cannot shake her, move her, break her, that's when they start respecting you and they start working with you properly, with respect. But with women, women are taught to be competitive. They are taught to be jealous. They are taught to run each other down. And that never stops. There is always a problem where there are these kinds of thoughts going on where a woman is constantly in a state of competition with another woman as opposed to fixing each other's crowns and saying that, hey, you're doing so well, I'm so proud of you. There are very few of such women, because we are taught, it is conditioning that वो तुमसे ज्यादा लंबी है, वो तुमसे ज्यादा गोरी है, उसका पति तुम्हारे पति से ज्यादा कमाता है, वो तो ये है. So you always are in that competition. Whereas there is no competition. It's non-existent. Why don't men have a men's day? Why don't they have an empowerment movement? Women are Shakti. They are all personification of Ma Durga. We do not need empowerment. We are already empowered. It is sisterhood that needs to be imbibed in us. So the women make it tougher, basically, in terms of the journey, because that breaks you more, breaks your heart more. That, you know how hard it is for a woman. Don't make it harder. And of course, there is that standard patriarchy where men don't like intelligent, strong, opinionated women. They don't want, when we were pitching Mrs. Undercover for investment and all of that, so I would narrate the film, right? Because I wrote it also. So I would narrate it. And the investors, a couple of times it happens that the investor told my business partner ki, ठीक है, आप रहेंगे ना set पे. And he was like, but she is going to direct. I will be there. I'm going to be the producer, so I will be there. But that's the whole thought, because it's a very unfamiliar visual that a woman is a director. She will tell me what to do. That's the biggest problem. How can a woman tell anyone what to do? So then a lot of such instances followed where then, I always tell people who, start, because in the beginning, I'm always nice to everybody because I'm a very nice person. I'm genuinely a nice person. I'm sweet, I'm compassionate, I'm kind, I'm empathetic. I give people enough number of chances. But the moment it comes to that point where somebody pushes me to the wall and somebody makes me step out of the genuinely nice person I am, then I make them see colors they did not know existed in that crayon box, you know. And it's something that is forced upon me. Nobody wants to be like that. But then you have to take that place because it is your place. So that's how that journey kind of continues. And we talk about it a lot. We talk about empowerment a lot and all of these things a lot. But it's easier said than done because mentality is still there. We've not kind of grown out of it. We've just started speaking in English and wearing Western clothes. But modernization or modernization of thought or even spirituality is not there to understand that our roots only teach that everything is Shakti Pradhan. Women only don't know that.
Yeah, sure.
So that's how it is.
What one statement or one line message you want to give to our women?
Support each other, be kind to each other, celebrate each other instead of judging each other.
Wow.
And I think the day that happens, the world will be a much calmer, happier place. Also, another thing I want to tell you about women behind camera that we were talking about. There are very few women behind camera. So, when I got the award also for, being the first Gujarati girl who became a mainstream Hindi cinema director, I myself was shocked because how is it that we are now, in 2023, 24, 25, 26, how is this happening? That, it's a sad thing. I like making history. I loved the award. I still do. And I love being appreciated for it. But we do need more women behind the camera because look at the movies that women have made. The way they can touch your heart, the way they write human characters or depict human characters. It's just so different, that's probably the woman's touch. That's the magical touch. And we need more women because we've had our mothers tell us stories in our childhood.
Yes.
That ek jungle tha, ye tha, oda khana khate khate. They were the ones who were the storytellers. So we need more women to kind of come behind camera. क्योंकि क्या होता है that if you're a woman and all of that, people automatically assume that हाँ मतलब इनको acting ही करनी होगी, actress ही होगी or whatever. The makers spend 2 to 3 years behind making a film. They are the ones who will write the lines, write the screenplay, get the clothes designed, get everything set up for the actor to perform according to the vision, right? So I think that amount of time, commitment, energy, effort, passion, commitment, everything that a filmmaker gives to a film, and that is why every time you meet filmmakers, they are very possessive about their films. They will never say ki I take success, failure, this. They will never talk like that because it's their baby. They've created it. It's their child, and it's always going to be like that. So for filmmakers, it's very, very different. And synonymously, when it comes to women filmmakers, obviously women are emotional beings. So it just adds that bit of magic to cinema, So we need more behind camera.
I believe that women are the best storyteller and the narrators. I feel so.
Yeah.
Your first film, and that was a smashing hit, is Mrs. Undercover.
Yeah.
We want to know the process of making this, the very first film directed by you, and that was also a smashing hit. So, what was the process, or what was that one catch which has made this movie a smashing hit?
So this was my first film as a director, but my very first film as a producer was back in 2015.
Okay.
It was a Bengali film. So I've been making movies since then, but I turned director with Mrs. Undercover. So I think there are multiple reasons for the film to have done brilliantly, and I have dissected it n number of times in my head. Is because it was a very honest effort on my part. No film is perfect. Every film has its flaws, so does mine. But place in my heart where it came from, that was probably the most honest place, which had the purest form of love for my work and the story that I wanted to tell. And the camera, that's why we say that movies are magic, because the camera is such a magical machine. It captures everything. Everything you can see, everything you can hear, everything that is around in the background, whatever. But it also captures everything that you cannot see, but you can only feel. That's the power of the camera. And that is why I feel that that's what got captured. And my main consumer, the audience, I made them feel something. And that's what movies are about. You need to make your audiences feel something. In today's time where everybody has such a tough image, everybody's tough, everybody's strong, they want to punch vulnerability in the face. That is in those moments, probably my work made them feel that being vulnerable is okay. It is still a strength. And it probably got families together to watch films, and that's what they've written to me, that after a very long time we have been able to watch a film with our families. It became like an event, that families getting together and watching something, looking forward to watch something. So it automatically comes from a very happy place, from their hearts, that we got to do something. People had sent me their grandparents clapping and watching the film and enjoying. I don't know these people. They are just, people out of the audiences. But they are so precious, because I'll always remember all this, right? That they gave so much love to something that I love so much, that I'm obsessed about. So I think honesty, love, passion, and just
Madhav, I think congratulations, because IMDb has awarded you for this wonderful smashing hit.
thank you.
When we talk about the film industry, it is said that they treat the people who do not belong to film industry, or they are not from that physical geography of film industry, they treat them as an outsider.
Yeah.
And many times newcomers
Yeah.
also, they face some troubles.
Yeah.
So we want to know how film industry treat outsiders and newcomers.
It's probably to widen our horizon. I think every industry has this sort of a scenario, right? Where there are insiders and outsiders, and there are newcomers, and there are second, third, fourth, fifth generations moving through. So obviously, it's easier for people who are on the inside, because they know the people, they know the work, they know the challenges. Their parents or their family friends or their relatives have already gone through all of that, so they get that amount of guidance. But for people like us who are not from the industry, and this is synonymous to every industry, it is not just the film industry. It's just that you talk about the film industry, there are so many gossip pages, and there is so much said about it, because it's on a public platform. So people like talking about it, but it's synonymous to everywhere, that something that is familiar to you is easier for you. If we know people of the same field, the process of the work will get easier for that person. They will also be more preferred, because they are familiar, they are family friends, they've done birthday parties and this and that together. So obviously it's going to be easier for them. But what happens is that for newcomers, for outsiders, to get to that point of getting to know people, boom, 10 years. It's 15 years. And that is that period when you're only trying to get your toe into the door, not even your foot. So it is that hard. That kind of access into this place that we call an industry is what is the real struggle. So when these people, there are so many people who say but eventually though it is the audience that they decide whether to accept or reject somebody, no matter the access. But they have not spent those 10-15 years trying to gain some access. First steps तो पहले तो आपको ABCD सीखना पड़ेगा ना, तभी तो आप spelling सीखोगे. You don't start spelling words before that. So you come to the success later. First, you have to be able to come to this point where you are at least being able to do what you've come here to do. So that is that disparity, and I think it will always be there. Then, and probably that's why now when I realize that everything is measured in the scale of success that resonates with other people. not success that resonates with you,
True. True.
with other people. So there is no point. What is important is what you want to do, what your journey is, how you want to take it, what it is that you want to do with your life, as opposed to trying to gain some sort of acceptance, trying to gain some sort of access, trying to get some people to somehow like your work. No, none of it matters. And it's such a freeing journey. It's a very freeing journey when you get over all of this, and none of it matters, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
In the larger scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Your audience matters.
I think you have given a very positive perspective about this film industry or this domain. But any myth about filmmaking?
Lots.
One?
People think it's a lot of glitz and glamour and everybody parties all the time.
That is there actually.
That's not there.
How is it?
It's absolutely non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely hyped out of proportion. Like, we work like dogs. We work 24/7, 365 days. Okay, first of all. And second, there is no glitz glamour. It's only when people come in front of the paps that it becomes glamorous. Otherwise, it's like a duck swimming on water. What do you see? You see the duck aram se sitting. Do you see it paddling so hard underneath? You don't. You feel, oh, so pretty. This duck is just, so nicely floating on water. It's not floating. It's swimming with its life strength at the time. So none of that really happens. Of course, like, people from all other industries have their house parties and have their celebrations. These people also do. I say these people because I don't indulge in, social gatherings in any capacity, be it the industry or otherwise. But this whole myth about कि मतलब everybody thinks that film industry मतलब ये तो party करते होंगे, काम क्या करते हैं? People think like that what work do they do? They don't understand our work.
What we see is superficial, I think.
Absolutely.
I think whatever you have said is quite resonated with Sourav Ganguly, the known cricketer.
My favorite.
His autobiography name is "A Century is Not Enough."
Yeah.
So reporter asked that you are a celebrated cricketer, you have a lot of records, many centuries. Why title "A Century is Not Enough"? He said that what you see is one side, but the hard work behind this you have not seen that.
Yeah.
In one series, if we don't play, our career go for a toss.
Yeah.
I think correctly you have said that what we see is a superficial, but the behind the scene, the story is completely different.
Yeah.
Anushree, if you go back to your past 10 years back and you meet your younger self, what advice you would like to give?
A lot of advice.
One advice.
A lot. Do not think that just because you won't eat the lion won't eat you. And never, ever judge people by their potential. Always judge them by their actions. Because everybody has the potential to be good, to be nice, to be kind, but they choose not to, and their actions speak very differently.
Action speaks. Very nice. Beautiful message. When we talk about a film, it's about story, emotions, a lot of message, a lot of real life stories. But at the end of the day, many movies have some philosophy. Maybe philosophy about work, life, person. What's your philosophy of life?
I am in general very philosophical, so I have a lot to say in terms of my cinema. But I feel that the word prarabdh is something very, very important to me, and I genuinely feel that I have been nudged to this direction for a reason, and I slowly have discovered it while working in the process, that who I am as a person, who I also want to be in the future, somebody who I also can look up to and say that I grew from that to this. My work will also grow accordingly. So rather than philosophy, there are purposes that I want to kind of fulfill, where my nationalism is something that is very dear to me, and I carry that with a lot of pride, probably even with a chip on my shoulder, saying that मैं भारतीय हूँ, you know, and most of us don't realize how lucky we are to be born to this land.
Yes.
You know, and that is something that I want to project through my films, because I have the power to speak to crores of people at one time with one piece of work. You know, so with great power comes great responsibility, is what I feel. And it's not important that every filmmaker wants to make movies for a message. I want to do that. It's a very personal choice. Then, of course, comes my precious Sanatan. You know, that is who we are. That is who we have been forever. We will be forever. And that is also something that my films will always speak about. The ones that I direct. Producing films is business, so it has a combination of everything. But directing films, I've realized, is a very lonely and personal journey. You're alone. You have 200 people working for you, but it is a very lonely journey and the best journey to take, because that is going to be like meditation for you. You're going to have so many realizations of life
Solitude.
through that process. So that there are a lot of human things that happen in our world, and I think in the quest of becoming physically very strong, beautiful, gym, makeup, ये वो करने के चक्कर में, we've all forgotten to be human beings and our own vulnerabilities. We just kind of want to show everyone on Instagram and everywhere that we're so happy. We're happier than you. My life is better than your life. All that is rubbish. You know, we all have to feel our own feelings and feel for each other also. So my movies will always make people feel something. And it could be anything. Emotion is important. Emotions cannot be diluted by the fakeness of the world that, you know, we all want to be a part of. And all of us are a part of it. But I feel that cinema is that one medium where people can collectively sit together and cry, laugh, get scared, get anxious, all of that. You know, it's a very interesting sort of an emotion that if the filmmaker is able to translate that, that is bullseye, and that's what I want to do.
Wow, I think when we ask somebody about this philosophy or spirituality, they will come and speak a very rich thoughts and everything. But you have come up with a very basic definition of philosophy: nationality, Sanatan, and emotion. Wonderful philosophy, I think. If you can just brief us about any one upcoming project. What project you are working on now?
Yeah, so I've produced this amazing film. It's called Risky Romeo.
Okay.
It's the first neo-noir comic tragedy of the industry, and we've not seen something like that before. And my business partner, who's also a writer-director, has written and directed it, and I've produced this one. And we've worked very hard on the film because it's a new genre. So, you know, it's very hard to kind of put it all together and get people to kind of align with you on your thought. So, of course, all credit to my business partner who's directed it, whose baby it is. But as a producer, also, it's been a very tough journey on the film. And I'm very proud of this film because it's like how Mrs. Undercover was the first spy comedy of the industry. So, at Jadugar Films, what we try to do is also come up with new genres, mixed genres, because we realize that, you know, there's no set rule that there are going to be these 4 genres only. Who said that?
Okay.
We are here to create cinema.
Yes.
We are here to create magic. Let's mix, match, tell stories that resonate to us first, so Risky Romeo is something that will release this year in the theatres. So yeah, we are very, very excited for that.
We are also excited. Wish you all the best. One message for our younger generation who want to be a filmmaker or who want to make their career in the film industry.
Yeah. So, you know, there is this very interesting thought process which multiple people over time have said, which has come from Sanatan and then formulated differently and then, you know, given back to us, is that a man is born twice. One is when he is physically born, and the second is when he knows why.
When he knows?
When he knows why.
Oh.
Right? So now, if somebody says, and a lot of people write to me that they want to be writers, filmmakers, this, that, I always ask them, why do you want to make a filmmaker? To the younger generation, that if the answer to that why is that because I want to be papped, because I want to be famous, because I want to be around famous people, do not become a filmmaker. None of that is going to happen because that's not the reality. That's how it is projected to the outside world, but the reality is very different. These are a bunch of extremely hardworking and resilient people who fail every day of their lives and take it in their stride and still keep moving in the pursuit of happiness and the happiness of the pursuit, both. So that amount of strength, resilience, passion comes from this place where you are completely and insanely in love with cinema, and you know that you want to make movies in whatever department, be it a cinematographer or a director, writer, producer, art director, whatever walk you choose in the field. But if love for the medium is not there and that amount of strength is not there, because this is the industry that will show you failure every moment of your life. And one fine day, when you are just not expecting it, you will suddenly see that blink of success and it'll go. It'll immediately also go. So that is why they hold this whole thing about success so dear, na? Ki, matlab, how we love our bowlers who take hat-trick wickets, or our UV Paji who did like six sixes,
Yes.
right? Or even Anil Kumble sir who
10
was
wickets,
just like
yeah.
10 wickets. Why? Because that is so hard to hold on to. That doesn't happen to everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
These are all once in a lifetime moments, or even Dada, who's like my favorite cricketer of all time. But why I say cricket is because cinema and cricket are something that people in our country are most emotional about. And also, very funnily so, everybody knows who's not attached to the cricket industry or the film industry, they know how to play cricket and make movies the best. अरे सचिन क्या शॉट ऐसे नहीं खेलना होता है. My own father would go यॉर्कर ना बोले पापा they can't hear you. और people will say कि ये तो फिल्म में इसने cinematography अच्छा नहीं किया, and they don't even know.
No, what is cinematography?
Yeah, they have no clue. But because they are both on a public platform, it's easier to talk about them, and there's a lot of fame attached. But what the younger generation needs to understand is that the job is not fame. Fame is a byproduct of the job.
Yeah.
And that comes at a very, very heavy cost of your own emotions, of your own resilience, of your own strength. And if your purpose is not at the right place, if your intention is not right, if your intention is to think that I'm going to party with these people and वो नहीं होने वाला, क्योंकि ये सब सच नहीं होता है. You know, all that is not the reality. You have to be a hard worker. There is absolutely no substitute to hard work. And this industry will make you work hard. There is no smart work here. There is only hard work.
Amazing. Amazing, I think. Anushree, I'm really happy today that you have given a lot of positive perspective, because we from social media, we think a lot of negative about film industry, about the filmmakers, but you have given a very positive perspective about the people and the process and this industry. I'm really happy and fortunate sitting alongside the first Gujarati girl to become a mainstream Hindi cinema director, IMDb award winner, giving a lot of smashing hits, and nationalist who is a proud Indian, who believes in emotions, who believes in process, and top of it, who is a devotee of Mahadev. So thank you so much for giving us a lot of insights, good insights, and giving a lot of between the lines.
Yeah.
And that is what the objective, and I think our objective is fulfilled. So once again, thank you for giving your time, giving a lot of insights. And I think I will end up with Har Har Mahadev.
Har Har Mahadev.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was very interesting conversation with Anushree Mehta. She gave us right perspective and the right picture about the film industry and the filmmaking process. When we asked her about how she became a film director or the filmmaker, so there was no dream, but it is out of curiosity. She was having curiosity about the process and she became a filmmaker. To achieve your dream or to do something in your life, curiosity is very important. Out of curiosity, you will get the right direction. When we talk about people, we always feel that we have a right people, we are surrounded by right people, they are our well-wisher, they will do good for us. But she used a very right adjective, smell the right coffee. You need to understand who is right, what is right, smell the right coffee, because ultimately it will give you the right perspective. Do not measure your success with others. That means do not compare. Whatever success you have, just celebrate. Do not compare with others' success. When we talk about people, she said, do not see potential but see the actions, because ultimately the action is the important. Other person action will give you the idea of who is other person. And last, when you talk about your career, ask a question why. Why? Answer to the why will take you to the right direction and it will give you the right career path. What you see surrounding or what you see on the social media is not your choice of or cannot be your choice for your career, but answer to why should be the choice of your career. So when you decide your career, ask question to yourself why. Beautiful between the lines we have received from Anushree. We are thankful to Anushree and request all of you do not forget to read between the lines. Thank you. Stay tuned.